In this video, we will be discussing how to flirt with a girl using physical touch. Physical touch is an important part of flirting and can help you build a deeper connection with someone you are interested in. However, it is important to use physical touch in a respectful and appropriate way.
Hey baby, this ain't cooking class, right? Hey, what the fuck you? What's wrong with you?
Don't touch me.
I didn't touch you.
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Today, we're diving into something essential for dating and igniting attraction: touching. But let me warn you, it's a double-edged sword. Get it right, and you're golden. Get it wrong, and well, let's just say you might find yourself with a one-way ticket to Creepville, or worse.
To build sexual chemistry with a girl, you need to touch her. You do. If you don't, she will only see you as a friend and nothing more because you're like scared to touch her. Touch is the most essential ingredient for building chemistry and trust.
And I know that touch can be really confusing, especially in today's modern age where people get labeled as a creeper or canceled in our cancel culture.
But unfortunately, most guys struggle to get physical with a girl because they're too afraid of looking creepy. And I completely get that. If you get this wrong, you can easily get rejected, slapped, and labeled as a creep or even a pervert.
So how do you touch a woman to make her want you without freaking her out? Let's go into it.
So companies are firing feminists after taking billion-dollar losses. Today's video comes from Manosphere Highlights Daily. His channel will be linked in the description of the video. Watch the video to fully understand why companies are now waking up and realizing that feminism was not what they actually thought it was, as they are now firing feminists and everyone associated with diversity, equity, and inclusion. We'll discuss the implications this has for women, society, and men going forward. And we also have a video from Yellow Flash that will be linked in the description so that you can go and check them out and support them as well. And now let's go ahead and jump right into the video.
There's some news that dropped last week that I want to include in this video just to kind of make a point. Square Enix says sales of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and 16 did not meet expectations. The sales weren't as strong as they expected. I think Square is stepping away from controversy, notably things that are going to help them sell more by stepping away from trash like Sweet Baby Inc. So this was sent to me. This is from Pirate Nation. And they say Square Enix has been removed from Sweet Baby Inc.'s list of client companies. Now, they were on there not that long ago. I think a month or two ago, they were still on the client list. Square Enix must have deliberately said, hey, take us off your website. And I did double check it. Here's the Sweet Baby Inc. website. This is sweetbabyinc.com. And it's right on the home page. Right when you scroll down, you can see their clients. Square Enix isn't on there anymore. They used to be. They're not on there anymore. And I think that that's pretty telling. So somebody told them to take that shit down because you know they didn't want to take Square Enix down. Square Enix wisely not on this list anymore. So that's just kind of showing you where we're at with this DEI nonsense. Square Enix, I think they want to make money. Now, they've got some problems. The Dragon Age, Dragon Quest 3, not Dragon Age, sorry. Dragon Quest 3 remake or whatever they're calling it. There's some controversy surrounding that game because they're doing the gender stuff, doing body types 1 and 2, and they also were changing Akira Toriyama's art, improving it. They didn't say that, but that's usually what people, like when they fix art, you know, they'll say they're improving it. And that I'm not a fan of. Why are you changing this legendary artist's work? It really turns me off to the whole game, to be honest.
We're over at the Sweet Baby Inc. website, and you can basically have a look and you can see how things actually look on there. I brought you here for a reason, though. So you can see the projects that they've worked on. They worked on Alan Wake 2. They worked on God of War, Ragnarok. They basically swapped out a character in the game who was white with blonde hair, a Viking goddess, making her black, and then trying to argue that even though history doesn't show that they were black Vikings, it's still possible. So yeah, this is crazy stuff that they've been doing. They worked on Spider-Man 2, and you can basically tell because the characters in the game are extremely awful to look at. Most of them, they have just terrible details. They worked on Suicide Squad, which is one of the worst games ever made by, I believe it's Rocksteady, the company that made Batman Arkham Asylum, the Batman Arkham Asylum series. You know, they absolutely destroyed their legacy. So this company has done a lot of evil. And if you scroll down, you can see all the companies that they do work with. So they work with Xbox Game Studios, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of the games coming from Xbox now look, you know, the character models look absolutely horrific. They work with Electronic Arts. I was shocked to see that they work with Valve because I love Valve so much. But they do work with Valve, and they work with so many other companies, right? The huge companies that produce some of the largest games. And of course, Ubisoft is on the list. That's very important because Ubisoft is crying their eyes out right now as a result of what's happening with their shares. Their shares have lost a significant amount of money, and as a result of that, now the CEO of Ubisoft is begging players to stop saying that they've gone woke, even though they have absolutely gone woke. They are now crying and saying that please stop calling us woke. You know, even though we've gone woke, don't say that we're woke. You don't even know what woke means, and they're foolish. They're absolutely foolish because you know, the gamers are taking their money away. They're sick of having, you know, one character swapped around, like a male character swapped for a female character, or a white character swapped for an ethnic character in the name of diversity. They're tired of all, you know, and pushing all of these messages in the game. Like, it's no longer about playing games. It's about political correctness and ensuring that a message is sent through the game. So Ubisoft is crying their eyes out. We'll jump later into that, but I just wanted you to see all the companies that have been on the list, and now they are going crazy. Now they're going ballistic because they are losing billions of dollars, absolutely losing billions of dollars. And I say it serves them right. I want all of these companies to crash and burn. 100%. I want them to crash and burn because I supported so many of them for years. Take 2K Interactive. That's owned by Rockstar, all right? The company that makes GTA 5. Hence, GTA that made GTA 5 and GTA 6. Hence, they are likely also working on GTA 6. And it will be wonderful just to get that out there. Because once it's confirmed, a lot of people are already saying they're not going to pick the game up. But once it's confirmed, like, that's just going to be enough to, like, even push it over the bandwagon. And guys, I want you to have a look at this right here. This is regarding the whole Ubisoft thing. Our goal is not to push any specific agenda. Ubisoft CEO tries to mollify gamers who won't stop being mad about a Black Samurai and Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, to be very clear, that's absolute bullshit. The Japanese guys, this is the shit that they're doing in that they're doing in Western society. The Japanese and fans are not upset about there being a Black Samurai. What they're upset about is the portrayal of history in this game. It's a load of bullshit. Okay? What they're doing is they're actually bastardizing the culture of the Japanese. And then they're trying to turn around and lie and say that that's not what they're doing. So the gaming media and Ubisoft, they've done some terrible things. The Japanese are pissed off with what they're doing. And now they're trying to turn around and blame men and blame the Japanese. This is total bullshit. Total bullshit. Assassin's Creed Shadows is one of the most anticipated games of the year, but it's also been controversial among some groups of gamers due to its inclusion of Yasuke, a Black Samurai, in today's surprise announcement of an Assassin's Creed Shadows delay. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot addresses those polarized comments as he put it, saying Ubisoft's games are not meant to reflect any specific agenda. I want to reaffirm that we are an entertainment-first company, creating games for the broadest possible audiences. Broadest, there you go, because they use Sweet Baby Inc. to determine what goes into the game. And our goal is not to push any specific agenda. Gilmot said in today's financial update, we remain committed to creating games for fans and players that everyone can enjoy. The company was at its height worth around 13 billion, and now it's been slipping below $2 billion. So it's lost most of its value, and if it continues to fall, it could actually fall below $1 billion in value. If it falls if it falls too low, it could end up being delisted. You heard me right, delisted from the stock exchange because it's a publicly traded company. So it could end up getting delisted, and at that point, investors are pretty much fucked. It's a very, very bad situation that's happening right now, and they don't give a shit. Their response is basically to blame gamers, blame the Japanese for, because they're bastardizing their culture, they're bastardizing their history, and their response is to blame everyone but themselves and blame the gamers as well who don't want to buy this shit game. So it's quite a change in tone from Gilmot's words in June when he called out malice and personal online attacks directed at Ubisoft employees and partners. He said, I want to make it clear that we at Ubisoft condemn these hateful acts in the strongest possible terms, and I encourage the rest of the industry and players to denounce them too. Gilmot, this is a French company, said at the time, I am proud to support the amazing work of our teams and partners, and I will always trust in their creative choices. Yeah, check that out. By contrast, today's statement is unhelpful at best, and frankly, I think it borders on outright cowardice. So, of course, the gaming media is now attacking him for not standing his ground. The backlash against Assassins, because obviously they know that it's a woke game. It was supposed to be woke. And they want him to stand up and say, we're going to keep on putting out the woke games. We don't give a fuck what you think. And we will run this company into the ground until there's nothing left. We would rather lose all of your money than go against our ideals, right? And our beliefs. The thing is, guys, the woke crowd doesn't give a fuck. They think that all of these companies are shit. They don't think that billion-dollar companies should even be allowed to exist, let alone billionaires, all right? They don't think billionaires or billion-dollar companies should exist. They want socialism, communism, Marxism, authoritarianism. That's what these people want. So all of these companies that are trying to pander to these individuals, they don't give a fuck if these companies no longer exist. Look at what happened to Bud Light. Bud Light tried to pander. Bud Light lost tens of billions of dollars. It's one of the largest, the biggest losses in history. Okay? Target basically had to walk back some of the stuff that they were doing, promoting diversity, equity, inclusion. Okay? Promoting that garbage, promoting diversity, equity, inclusion that no one wanted. Okay, so by contrast, today's statement is unhelpful at best, and frankly, I think it borders on outright cowardice. The backlash against Assassin's Creed Shadows has been fierce, but also emerges from a very narrow slice of the gaming community, a group that is very agenda-driven. It makes zero justifiable sense that traveling through the magic of the Anubis to waste the Pope or do a solid for George Washington is normal video game business, yet a black samurai, that's not what it's about, based on a historical figure like so many others in the series is beyond the pale. There's no mollifying this disingenuous crowd with hollow statements that it's fun and games. We should all just get along. So of course you have this there. They're trying to pretend like it's more than like it's not that. The most vocal contingent of Yasuke critics want nothing less than the outright removal of the character from the game to be replaced with an authentic Japanese character. It's absolutely bananas, and anyone who thinks they can make that group happy with this sort of anodyne nonsense simply needs to take a look at the response to the delay announcement on X to be quickly dissuaded of such notions. This isn't Ubisoft's first attempt to soothing the perennially aggrieved to poor effect. In July, it issued a statement that Assassin's Creed Shadows is not meant to be a factual representation of history or historical characters, and that while Yasuke is depicted as a samurai in Assassin's Creed Shadows, we acknowledge that this is a matter of debate and discussion. As we noted at the time, the new Assassin's Creed has faced some legitimate criticisms, but the defense of Yasuke is entirely unnecessary, and worse, it is served to embolden the reactionary contingent of gamers who think diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts are somehow ruining games. So these are the people. The woke media is saying that Ubisoft needs to double down. They need to show that diversity, equity, inclusion is going nowhere. Square Enix just fired Sweet Baby Inc. Okay, and not only that, guys. You know, a person from Sweet Baby Inc. came out and let them know that they want to destroy the gaming industry. It is their plan and purpose. They have an agenda to destroy the gaming industry. We have a video that we're going to jump into because it's insane what these people are saying and doing. The video I'm going to be showing you guys comes from Asmon Gold, and basically it delves into some of the situation and just how bad it is, where a Sweet Baby Inc. employee steps out and lets them know exactly what their actual agenda is.
Sweet Baby Inc. employee admits goal is burning games industry to the ground. What is this?
A Sweet Baby Inc. presentation resurfaced.
I'm a narrative designer and sensitivity reader with a company called Sweet Baby Inc. Cool, but why am I here?
Just so we're clear, this is a real slide. We want cooler stories, a safer world, burning the game industry to the ground. And then the Sweet Baby employee brings out an easy target, someone who is incapable of writing inclusive stories and thus needs the help of someone like Sweet Baby Inc., one of the greatest filmmakers and storytellers of our time, Quentin Tarantino.
Because in my work, I meet a lot of Tarantinos. As an auteur, Quentin Tarantino feels like someone who grasps after edginess when they don't understand that growth, it also comes from joy. He holds a no pain, no gain kind of mentality that I think is unshakably rooted in white supremacist patriarchal values. A hatred that is obviously rooted in white supremacy. I do think his work needs to be critiqued out of existence.
So if you don't know who Quentin Tarantino is, he is the guy who brought us movies like The Django Unchained, or one of my absolute favorites, Kill Bill. Yes, that Quentin Tarantino. This individual is saying that his movies are rooted in white supremacy, even though many of his movies have made a lot of black people famous. One of his boys is Samuel L. Jackson. Okay? He's constantly in Quentin Tarantino films. That's his boy. You've got to be fucking kidding me. The idea behind Sweet Baby Inc. and their diversity, equity, inclusion is to erase specifically white males from these games or reduce their presence. If you look at Concord, which has Sweet Baby Inc. shit all over it, it almost completely erases white males from the game. It stars characters that no one can align with, no one would want to play as. It's absolutely terrible, and Sony thought that this was going to be their next Star Wars. And they started working on this game 10 fucking years ago. So it's not like they didn't know what they were doing. Evidently, development for this shit started back in like 2015. 10 motherfucking years. It was greenlit evidently in 2015. 10 motherfucking years. And they were planning to go down this woke agenda, ideological crap storm 10 years ago. And it's because of their failures that all they're doing now is like, oh, we just lost $1 billion, so we'll just charge more for the PlayStation 5 Pro. It would have been $500 or $599, but because it only cost us $400 to manufacture. Like, that's what they're saying the manufacturing cost is, right? And typically Sony subsidizes their consoles. So in a normal market, it would actually cost maybe around $399. They would lose about $100 on every console they sold, but they would make that up from the games. Of course, in this generation, the ongoing joke, which isn't really a joke because it's so true, is that the PlayStation 5 has no games. It's basically just called the PlayStation 4 Pro. It's just a more pro version of the PlayStation 4 Pro.
The genre he's chosen with Django is blaxploitation. Arguably, this movie should never have existed, because the truth is some stories are not yours to tell. And when I say unequipped to tell, I don't mean in terms of resourcing. Creative people or teams who want to tell a story, they don't have the identity, perspective, experience, or empathy.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's the white people can't tell stories about black people. Okay, so it's just like your traditional run-of-the-mill racist thing. They're saying you can't tell these stories because you're not of this identity, and that's why you need us. Like, most people see this and are like, this person is deranged.
So to take it one step further, what they're really trying to say is that you should not have a black character or a Hispanic character or an Asian character in any of your movies, because he's talking about movies. They're talking about movies, in your movies or games or any other form of media, unless you have consultation with a company like Sweet Baby Inc. that tells you how these characters are allowed to be represented. So they define how you may depict a black character, how they may look, and so forth. How you may depict a woman. What is a woman? How men are shown in the game. How many white males are shown in the game, or if white males should even be allowed to be shown. Like, if you look at the new game coming from Sony, I forget the exact name of it. It's basically a sword game, Legend of Tsushima or some shit like that. They've basically replaced the male character with a female character, and it was actually called Ghost of Tsushima. And what they've done now is they've basically changed it around, so it's no longer Ghost of Tsushima. We thought that they were going to continue exploring that character's story, but no, they've decided to go in another direction entirely, and it's now it's now something completely different. It's Ghost of Yotai, something like that, right? Yeah, Ghost of Yotai, and it basically stars a female character. And again, the entire thing is just, again, more woke bullshit.
The problem is that these people want to insert themselves into spaces and then tell those spaces how to behave. They have no genuine desire to create a good product. All they have is an agenda and a worldview that they want other people to uphold and do. Good genre starts with representation on a creative team, right? So this is it, right? These people create a problem to sell a solution. They say your problem is that you don't have representation and you need representation, and who has representation? A big surprise, it's us. It's all about creating a need for themselves to exist, and it's good to see people pushing back on it, and I hope that they keep pushing back on it.
And guys, I just want to remind you to go and check out the Angry Guy Clubhouse. It's really awesome over there. Dive into exclusive podcasts, Manosphere topics, and more. Free subscribers get full access to chat, videos, podcasts, and all blog posts. Paid subscribers unlock unlimited access to everything, including exclusive guides and blueprints for building wealth and thriving. Support the channel by becoming a paid subscriber for just $8 per month. Don't miss out. Click the link in the description to subscribe now and claim your free passive income blueprint. Now, it's pretty interesting that you have so many women who are ranting or raving about diversity, equity, inclusion, people from this community. But guess what? Modern women are now becoming panicky because men are walking away from relationships. They're walking away from dating. There's actually a video from Manosphere Highlights Daily that I mentioned earlier. We're going to jump into that video because now women are basically demanding that men start touching them again because they're noticing that they're in society, they're going on dates, and the guys that they like won't touch them. And now they're basically coming out and saying, okay, so guys, you need to start touching the woman, or else, it's going to kill the relationship. So this is how to touch her without being creepy. Guys, so now the men that these women want are now afraid of them. Men are essentially afraid of women in Western society now because they no longer trust them. All of this all of this stems from the woke ideology, feminist propaganda. All the roosters are now coming home to crow. And I could not be any more happy to see it happening. It's the honest to goodness truth. It's a sick sick society and a reality that we live in, but we have to be really aware of it. We have to be aware of it, because if we are not aware of it, then it will literally take control, continue to control everything. And the goal is to control our minds, to keep us fat, lazy, and demoralized.
In this video, we will be discussing how to flirt with a girl using physical touch. Physical touch is an important part of flirting and can help you build a deeper connection with someone you are interested in. However, it is important to use physical touch in a respectful and appropriate way.
Hey baby, this ain't cooking class, right? Hey, what the fuck you? What's wrong with you?
Don't touch me.
I didn't touch you.
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Today, we're diving into something essential for dating and igniting attraction: touching. But let me warn you, it's a double-edged sword. Get it right, and you're golden. Get it wrong, and well, let's just say you might find yourself with a one-way ticket to Creepville, or worse.
To build sexual chemistry with a girl, you need to touch her. You do. If you don't, she will only see you as a friend and nothing more, because you're like scared to touch her. Touch is the most essential ingredient for building chemistry and trust.
And I know that touch can be really confusing, especially in today's modern age where people get labeled as a creeper or canceled in our cancel culture.
But unfortunately, most guys struggle to get physical with a girl because they're too afraid of looking creepy. And I completely get that. If you get this wrong, you can easily get rejected, slapped, and labeled as a creep or even a pervert.
So how do you touch a woman to make her want you without freaking her out? Let's go into it.
Touch is powerful, no doubt. But here's the kicker: being labeled a creep can land you in jail. You'll notice these coaches throw around a lot of advice that sounds great in theory, but in practice, it's confusing as hell because everything is subjective. It all depends on feel. And we know women operate on a different frequency when it comes to attraction.
Your touches should be light, but firm at the same time. I know it's confusing, but you want to find a balance in between the two extremes.
You know, I get a lot of men who ask me, well, like, how do I flirt with a woman? And there's two pieces to this. The first is she needs to feel safe enough to be in her feminine, because when a woman is in her feminine, she actually leads that flirtation and playfulness because she's open. So she brings it out, and that's when you feel invited into it, right? So if you try to force that, or if you're trying to like create flirtation, she's like this, right? Like, what's your motive? What's going on? What do you want from me?
This is female nature, guys. Most women will shut down any flirtation attempts from 80-90% of men, but they'll make exceptions for Chad and
You see, guys, here's the thing, and I keep on saying this, and I'm one of the few men who actually say this, because, men, if you don't believe me, all right, to be a true Chad or Tyrone, you have to be a broke boy, all right? I'm not saying that all Chads and Tyrones have literally no money, but the truth is that with most Chads and Tyrones, they do not have a lot of money, or at least it doesn't come across that way. These are men who often live off women and live off society. Chad and Tyrone are just brothers from different mothers. They are one and the same. Many of you refuse to accept that Chad and Tyrone are the same person. These two motherfuckers are terrible individuals. They're not good people typically. They are broke boys. These are broke boys. They don't have a lot of money. A lot of times their character is very low. They live off women. They live off the state. They live off the streets, and that's where they usually end up, because it's from the streets that they came, and it's to the streets that they shall return. The truth is that when most men, a woman can retroactively withdraw consent, so it was fine when something happened. You know, a guy touched her years ago at that time, but she can retroactively withdraw consent many years later and say that it was no longer fine now. It wasn't fine then, and it wasn't fine now. Even though back then she did not complain or object to anything, now, fast forward, it could be decades later, now it's no longer, she no longer consented. It was no longer acceptable. This is the reason why men have woken up, and they're extremely careful. And women are like, oh, well, now men need to Men need to be more masculine again. They need to make her feel safe so that she could be in her feminine. Guys, this is a load of shit. This is a load of stupidity. This illustrates to you that women know nothing about femininity. A woman who's truly feminine does not need a man to shift her into being feminine. This is, guys, oh, if you have enough money, if you have all of this money, and you can make me feel like I'm going to be taken care of and give me a life of luxury and all this other bullshit, that allows me to shift in my feminine. These women don't know anything about femininity. They're openly telling you that they are masculines, all right? They're telling you right off the bat, I am a masculine woman. Hence, I need you to be a certain kind of way so that I can then become feminine. This is what guys, they have masculine energy inside of them, all right? They don't know how to be feminine. Femininity is not something you just can put on and take off. Femininity is a part of one's character. It is a part of one's soul. You cannot teach femininity. You can teach emulation of things that are feminine, traits that are considered feminine, but you cannot teach femininity. Femininity is a personality type. There are two twins that I used to watch, and one, they were content creators. One was more masculine than the other, and you can tell which one was more masculine because her voice was deeper. They were identical twins, and their voices were completely different. Even their faces could look completely different. One had a much more soft face. The other one was very masculine. And again, she was not necessarily a masculine person, but she had masculine traits and more masculine behavior. Okay? It's crazy.
Because attraction is not a choice, it's instinctual. This is why chasing women never works. The foolishness. You've got to stop chasing and start attracting. Trust me, it will make your life a whole lot easier. In this highlight reel, female dating coaches break down the touching aspect of flirting. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to decide if the juice is worth the squeeze. So without further ado, let's get this highlight reel started.
So, rule of thumb for touching: touch early, touch often, touch appropriately.
Your best bet is to make physical contact right off the bat, within the first minute or two, if possible.
The sooner and more often you break the touch barrier, the sooner she'll be comfortable with you touching her.
Guys, do you hear this shit? In the era of Me Too, where men have been told to keep their hands to themselves, there's still continuous videos online. Keep your hands to yourself. What do you have happening right now? You have all of these dating coaches coming out and telling men not to, you're going to want to do this. You have to do this right away also. Do not be scared. Guys, look how the lives of men have been destroyed. These women, what they're doing, these women and men, these women though, because they usually have a bunch of women who are now giving dating advice to men, and you should never take advice from a fish. You should take advice from a fisherman. All right, I'm sure you get the analogy. So these women that do not know anything about the male experience, okay, or what it's like to even attract a woman, because they're women, they know everything about women. All right, a fish does not know how to catch a fish. All right, if you want to catch a fish, go to a fisherman. A fish will tell you about theory and what they think they would do and how they would respond. All right, a lot of times they will send you in the wrong direction. Some of them will even sabotage you because they don't want to be caught. All right, but they'll keep on peddling shit to you. On the other hand, a fisherman will tell you exactly how to catch that motherfucker. And it may not sound, and it'll usually sound literally nothing like what the fucking fish is telling you. All right? Don't listen to a fish. Don't let a fish tell you how to catch a fish. You go to a motherfucking fisherman, all right? And Angry just happens to be that fisherman. And I'm telling you that it's not worth it. At least not the ones in Western society, okay? Because any that you catch, you're gonna need to throw back. If you really want to catch a fish, go overseas. Because the fish in these waters, it's polluted. You pull one out, they have like 3 eyes. Something out of The Simpsons. Like it's no good. No good. Bad juju. 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 All right. You want to stay away from these fish, okay? They've been swimming around in toxic waters and. Yeah, man, these fish aren't right, bro. These fish aren't right. Leave these motherfuckers alone. Leave these motherfucking fish alone. Okay, guys? This is the reality that we live in. These individuals don't actually like us, and now they're begging men to start re-engaging. This is the reason why they're attacking soft guy era so much, because soft guy era is basically telling men, no, you guys are in your masculine, so guess what? Here's what you're gonna do. You want me, you need to pay for it. All right? Look at Simone Biles, what her husband did. She went and paid for their wedding rings. Okay? She's been paying for a lot of things in the relationship. While she was sitting right there in an interview, he straight up said that he was the catch and she had to catch it. He was the catch in the relationship and she had to do the work to get him. Okay? Because he is the prize. You see, the woman wants to be the adorer, and the man has to be the adoree. If he's simping for her, then she's no longer going to be attracted to him. So he has to always be her best option. And most women don't want you to know these things, all right? It's very hard to understand female psychology until you move past this belief that men and women think remotely the same. It may seem that way on the surface, but it's not like that at all. Once you begin to understand women, you really begin to understand just how different their mental state is, and just how they're not really drawn to morality, most women. That's not to say every woman is immoral, but you know, women will do things that you just would never be, you'd be surprised. And it's like you have a lot of these idiots who are, and even among my subscribers, who are like, my mommy is a good woman. My mommy would never do these things. And it's like, bro, you don't know who your mommy was in her past life. Okay? You do not know who your mommy was in her past life. In her past life, your mommy was a real 304. Okay? Your mommy was hardcore for the streets. She was an evening delight, like Mayumi used to call him. All right, she was an otherworldly. I'll put it like that.
But remember, her primary need is to feel safe, so you want to touch her appropriately.
When you first start flirting with a girl, it's important to start with casual and appropriate touch. This can include touching her arm or shoulder when you are talking to her, or offering a gentle hug when you say hello or goodbye.
Now, this might look like light touches on her arm, her shoulder, or her back during a conversation, or things like lightly nudging her arm or shoulder to show comfort and familiarity.
An easy way to touch a woman for the first time is to give her a high five. That way you're breaking the touch barrier, so it's not as creepy when you go to brush the hair off of her shoulder or touch her while you're talking.
Let me tell you guys something. This is all PUA shit. PUA shit. I did all of this crap over 10 years ago, guys. And I will literally let you know, like, you know, I'm not going to say who, but I know some of these people. I know some of these people that are giving advice. And I'll tell you right now, it's such a waste of fucking time going out there, putting women on a pedestal, all this shit. Okay, guys? At the end of the day, it's supposed to be natural interactions. Touching is supposed to be a normal interaction. You don't do it you don't start touching someone just to establish touch, all right? You do it if you feel comfortable. If you don't want to, guys, if you don't feel comfortable with her, you shouldn't be touching her. Don't listen to these women. All right, you need to be able to read the room. If you're, guys, it doesn't matter if, like, for example, let's say you go overseas and you meet a woman and your vibes are just not chilling. Your vibes are just not there. Yet these women are telling you it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, man. You need to establish touch immediately. Listening to these women will put you in trouble. You should be paying attention to the woman you're with and read it and looking at her body language. And if she's cold towards you, do not put your fucking hands on her. Regardless of if you will get in trouble or not, you need to use common sense. These women are becoming dangerous. They're becoming dangerous to men, and they're becoming dangerous to other women. You should not touch someone who does not want to be touched, and you should be constantly reading someone's body language and looking for indicators of how the relationship is going. Or did they pull back from you? Are they moving closer to you? Are they mimicking your movements? You know, do they feel comfortable? You can start telling. And just because they do feel comfortable, it still doesn't mean you should move in. Also, trying to do that whole high five thing. Yeah, guys, I did the whole high five thing. It made women feel awkward around me. All right? Like I said, I know some of these people. I'd use these techniques. All right? It's garbage. I would have been better off just being my fucking self. And when I was younger, I was so good looking. extremely fit. I didn't need to do any of that shit. But I was out there pandering to women, to be honest, who were just not up to my level. All right? Not on my level. It's such a disgrace. Such a disgrace chasing after women who have single mother energy.
Try to touch her gently. A little tap on the arm when you ask her a question is perfect. For example, hey, do you want the same drink again? It's subtle, but it's really good. You could ask to see her jewelry that she's wearing and gently roll her wrist around to admire her watch or her bracelet.
Whether that's a introductory handshake, a hand on the shoulder, an excited high five, touching is really important. This shows a woman that you're confident and expressive as a man. The longer you wait to make contact, the more awkward you'll both feel about it not happening.
This can help establish a level of comfort and familiarity before escalating to more intimate touch.
Touch her, but don't go in and grab her hand or tuck a piece of hair behind her ear or grab her hips like it looks like in the movies. It may have worked for an old James Bond movie, but nowadays it's creepy and weird.
You start to touch her too soon. I've come across men like this and also coach men that think this is the way you start with escalation, which is absolutely is not. Escalation does not start with touching a woman instantly. It will rub the woman the wrong way and she will just get this icky feeling. And if you want to attract a woman, icky does not go with attraction.
Hint, same as with compliments. Avoid T and A and L.
Where you should probably not touch a woman on a first date, that would be the leg. You don't want to be touching below the belt on a first date. Save that for a second or third date after you've built a little sexual tension.
Face, neck, the vulnerable areas, the whole torso area. Too low on the back. And of course, her legs or booty.
Understand when you are flirting, you don't have to touch her. This does not increase your chances, whatever you've heard out there. You have to first recognize that you know about personal space. Once the date continues, depending on conversations and personalizations and laughs and great conversations, then flirting can be intertwined with these events and touching will come into play where things on the date may get more physical, but this does not happen right away.
It's important to pay attention to a girl's body language when you are flirting with her. If she seems uncomfortable or pulls away when you touch her, it's important to back off and respect her boundaries.
This skill, reading the room, understanding social cues, and knowing when to act, isn't just crucial in dating, it's a life skill. Some guys are naturals at it, while others need to work harder, and that's okay. The good news, it can be learned. Like any skill, practice makes perfect. But again, you've got to ask yourself, is it worth the risk?
Let me make it very clear to you. Touching a lot of these women also is not, forget about it, not even just being worth the risk, they don't deserve it. Touching is something that you earn. If you want me to gently caress you, if you want to rest your head on my shoulder, if you want me to hold your hand, all right? If you want sensuality, you have to earn that, all right? You don't just get that for free. Like, guys, this is such stupidity. Do you think Chad and Tyrone are doing any of this shit? Do you think Chad and Tyrone, guys, they break all the rules for Chad and Tyrone. When it comes to you, they want a guy who's going to lie to them, wine them, dine them, and be this guy out of one of their novels until they get bored of you, all right? And they're still fucking Chad and Tyrone. This is a load of absolute horseshit. This is the reason why they hate soft guy era so much. Because soft guy era men are realizing that the juice was never worth the squeeze. And if a woman wants to be in your life, she needs to bring some value into it. And the fact of the matter is that the vast majority of women have nothing to offer. And that's why they're pissed.
Is the juice worth the squeeze? Because in today's climate, the stakes are high. Back when I was in the trenches, I failed many times. But guess what? I lived to fight another day. Dating used to be fun. Shout out to the brothers who grew up without social media and dating apps. You know what I'm talking about. But now, social media and dating apps have completely flipped the script. Combine that with post-Me Too culture, believe all women, and the constant toxic masculinity narrative being shoved down our throats. And we've got ourselves a recipe for disaster.
On the other hand, if she seems receptive and engaged, you can gradually increase the level of physical touch.
Typically, a woman will touch the man's touch him first by his arm or his leg or his thigh.
You know what's very interesting? These women don't even know about women. Here's the interest, because they're only talking from their perspectives. They're teaching men how to date women and what indicators to look from, but they're only speaking from their own experiences. A man like me who has been on many dates and gone through all of this shit, I can tell you what actually happens. To be clear, this woman's talking a load of shit. A lot of women will not even touch the man first. She will wait until you touch her, and then she will reciprocate your touch. Boom. Okay? Oh, wait for her to touch you on the arm or to touch your... Guys, that's a masculine role right there. Taking the lead is a masculine role. So she's telling you to wait until the woman gives you the indicator, in the sense that she takes the lead and then she physically tells you that it's okay when she first does it. Basically, she's the man in the relationship. Guys, these women know nothing about femininity. They know nothing about dating. They know nothing about relationships. They're only talking from their perspective, and a lot of them are single, never been married, okay? And they've been in some relationships. Why is it that so many of these women that are on here are unmarried women, and every relationship they've been in has come to an end? I'm not saying all of them, but the vast majority of these dating coaches are all single. Why are so many female dating coaches? Why are so many women who are dating coaches for men single? Why is it that they can't hold a man? If they are out here giving men advice, if they understand dating and relationships so well, why can they not hold a man and stay in a relationship with these men? That's a good question. That's the question I'm posing. I'm telling y'all, they're out here giving all of this advice. They barely understand themselves, and there's something clearly toxic about so many of them as to why no man wants to stay with them. But of course, they will never take any accountability for any of it. They will deflect, and they will say that, oh, you're just a man who doesn't like women. Bro, you're the problem. If every man runs away, okay? If every man you're in a relationship with runs away from you, maybe you should take a bit of feedback. If a man is going out with many women and every woman runs away from him almost immediately, no one wants to stay with him, not even over the long term, then clearly there's something going on there. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes you're in a toxic environment like Western society. Women in Western society are just trying to take advantage of men, so they're not even running away, they're just using you and then leaving you. But when it comes to women, if you're in a relationship with a man, and he's basically, every man just keeps on leaving you, maybe you need to think about it carefully and say, hey, maybe there's something to it. The honest truth is that the average man no longer trusts the average woman in Western society, and it's spreading throughout the world. There's a video that I saw from a young man named Terry Joel Jr. We're going to be looking at that video, and it's actually titled, Men No Longer Trust Women in Modern Society, and it kind of reflects so much of the reasonings why men not only do not want to touch them, but they don't even want to have a general relationship with them anymore. Terry's channel will be linked in the description of the video, so you can go check him out and support his content. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into his video.
So here's the thing. In the world today, most men don't trust most women no more. Like, for the most part. Majority of women coming in today is going to bring problems, baggage, toxicity, turmoil, a whole bunch of stuff. So most men out there don't trust most women to come in, to stay, to create successful, happy families and everything else. Most men understand today exactly what is out there, exactly what they're dealing with, and you got to be incredibly lucky to get yourself something that is going to bring what is supposed to come in. You know, you'd be incredibly lucky. And Most men today understand that they're not getting those things, hence why they're checking out, hence why relationships are going the way they're going today. Women are more empowered than ever. Women want to rule today more than ever. And that's exactly what is creating a lot of the stuff that goes on today, because men want to have authority over their livelihood. Men want to be able to take care of their surroundings, but how can you take care of your surroundings when a woman is competing with you?
I mean, guys, look at the videos that we just watched where you have women demanding, woman after woman after woman demanding that men start touching women again, but they have to do it on the woman's term. And one woman says one thing, another woman says another thing. One woman says you have to wait until you get the indicators. Another woman says you need to do it right away within the first couple of minutes, within the first 2 minutes of seeing her. You need to immediately start touching her. Guys, they're going to put you in prison. These women are going to put you in prison, and they're going to make all of these things awkward using canned lines and all of this other bullshit. Guys, this is how they make their money. This is how these female PUAs make their money. But, you know, dating experts put food on their table. I'm not saying they're bad people. Some of them I've known. Some of them I think are great people. But in terms of listening to the shit that's coming out of the mouths of so many of these individuals, this is how you end up in prison. This is how you end up having your name destroyed. And even if you don't, this is how you end up creating an awkward relationship. If you're with someone, and like, for example, if you go over to Japan, or go to another country, you have to basically read a person's body language. You also have to understand their culture and their customs before you start putting your hands on people. They're pissed off now because men are beginning to wake up and realize the juice is not worth the squeeze. You're beginning to see behaviors where guys just don't want to even interact anymore, and they don't even. And women are like, "Well, you have to put her into her feminine." Guys, a truly feminine woman does not need a man to make her become feminine. All right, she does not need all. You were talking shit to me was like 5-10 years ago, and now you're back because I'm the only one who understands. Oh yeah, all the stuff I said back then was true, dude. You were telling me that I'm doing damage and I'm hurting people, and now you're like, yeah, Angry, you're the only one who understands me. Fuck you. Fuck and you. Put them together. Fuck you. Okay? So many dudes are snakes. That's why I said, if you, listen, you don't have to agree with everything I say, but if you disagree with me so much that, you know, and you want to continue simping, don't even watch the content. Just leave. Go. All right? Go and don't come back. All right, because don't you feel ashamed of yourself? A lot of Sims don't feel ashamed of themselves because they'll keep watching the content and they'll be like, "Oh, I could watch it anyway. Look at that, I'm watching it right now. I'm just gonna be a lurker and I'm gonna watch it." Like, bro, you have no value. Like, think about it, because like you're there attacking and trying to come after me, but you're watching my content and taking value from it. Like, what kind of person are you? You know, there was one dude who basically tried that shit with me, and then he came back and he apologized, and he came back and he said, "Angry Sama," right? And that's how you're supposed to do it. And I'm going to let you know, like, for example, Gen Z, when you speak to me, it's Sama, all right? You could say Sama, or you could say, some of you are funny with Sama, it's really Sama. You could say San, or you can even say Senpai, although I prefer Sama, okay? So Gen Z, when you're speaking to me, Gen Z, I am your senior. So I expect respect from each and every single one of you. Let me make that very fucking clear.
How can you take care of your surroundings when a woman wants to waltz around being powerful and strong, almighty, and doing all those types of things? How can you take care? How can you be in your masculine frame when she's trying to be in her masculine frame? How could you trust her when she has this crazy, dark, deep, brutal past?
Notice what he just said. She has this crazy, dark, deep, brutal past. I used to date this woman, and she basically gave me just a little peek into who she was and where she was coming from. And she had a bunch of kids. Yeah, I was dating a single mom, and she was bad. She was a baddie, but The bullshit that she was going to bring into my life was ridiculous. And she basically gave me like a cliff note of her life, and it was just like some absolute insane shit. Absolute insane shit. It was crazy. It was crazy, and basically there was another part of it where it's like she was originally from the US, like she wasn't necessarily born there, but she lived there, and it seems like she got deported, and it was for some like bad shit. Like a lot of these women have criminal histories. I remember dating this woman years ago, and she was so damn toxic. And she had been, and a lot of guys would simp over her and all kinds of shit. This is a woman who did some very evil shit, like before she was even 18 years old. And she would tell me stories about, being in juvenile hall and what life was like in juvenile hall, because she was arrested. All right, like she took some girl to like the woods, and there was like she basically put her hands were involved. It was absolutely terrible. Like that, she should never have gotten out. She should never have gotten out. They should have held her in there. And basically, she started hitting the gym. She got in shape. I don't know how she got in shape. And all of these dudes were now like simping over her. And it's like, guys, she had such a terrible personality. She was definitely she tried to use me. She did take advantage of me. And eventually, I basically cut her off. And she was just like so shocked over it. And then she tried to act like, oh, well, I don't care. Well, fuck you. Fuck and you.
How could you? You can't. So that is what most men are dealing with today. Hence why they don't trust women, because how many women out here is pure anymore? At least close to pure. No one's today is pretty much a virgin, but you guys understand that.
Let me tell you something else about women. So for example, when you have women who say things like, you have white women who say things like, oh, I only date black men. Any black man of value should know that those are not the kinds of women you want to mess around with. Because there's a reason why they're like that. There's a reason why they're doing this, okay? Because, guys, if they're shaming the men of their own community, of their own ethnicity, then a lot of times they can't even go back. All right? You don't want to, when a woman says that she only dates black men, the reality is that she's often dating a specific type of black man. She does not want Michael from IT, okay? She wants Jamal from state penitentiary. When a black woman says, oh, I only date white guys, okay? The reality is that she's only looking for a man to take advantage of. These women are all playing the same game. When women disrespect men from their culture, from their own ethnicity, from their own communities, no man with common sense should be saying, oh, wow, so that means I'm super attractive to them because I have something that the men around them don't have. Guys, you're full of shit. You have money. A lot of times it's that you have money, all right? You should not be kicking your heels up. Women who take advantage of men or women who shame men, that it could be family members, it could be people in their community, it could be people who look like them. Those are not the kinds of women who you should be messing with. That's something that men have to learn about. It doesn't mean that all men are your friends, but at the same time, don't think that you're better than another man just because of your culture, the country you come from, your ethnicity. Because guess what? She might be talking shit about these men today, but tomorrow she's doing the same thing to you. Tomorrow she's treating you like shit. Tomorrow she's cheating on you. Telling y'all, it's a load of bullshit.
Some women are out here, bro, being the biggest 304s they can possibly be, and they see nothing wrong with it. They're just, they're living, they're no better than how some men get around, and that's terrible because you're a woman. You're not supposed to, get done like that many times. Like, it's just not supposed to be that way, and men understand what's at stake. If you're a woman and you go through that many experiences, that much of a dark crazy past, what is that going to do to you when you show up in a stable home around a stable man? You ain't gonna know what to do.
You see, guys, an unstable woman will destabilize a stable man. A woman claiming that a man needs to bring stability into her life is a woman that a man must avoid. If she needs you to bring her from her masculine into her feminine, then she is not a feminine woman. If she needs a man who can handle her, then that means that she is a problem that no man wants to deal with. These modern women don't want to admit that they have nothing to offer. That's the reason why they're attacking soft guy era. Because they have literally nothing to offer whatsoever. Companies are firing feminists. They're walking away. They're saying that we're done with the nonsense. They're running away from DEI. Companies like Microsoft, they fired their entire diversity, equity, inclusion department. Now women are complaining because men no longer want to touch them, let alone speak to them in society. They're like, men, do not approach us, but then they're getting pissed off that men are not approaching them or that they don't know how to approach men. Women have been fighting hard to create an environment, a society that they will no longer want to live in, that no one wants to live in. That's what they're doing. And if you become the kind of man that these women say that they desire today, you're essentially throwing your soul away. You're going to become a toxic person. You're going to become a scavenger. This is why so many men become cold when they see what the world really is and the way that society really treats men as nothing more than disposable ATMs. Because they only want from us our attention, our time, our money. And if we ever respond, they will just simply use sign language, which is shame, insults, guilt, gaslighting, and nagging because they need to be right. Guys, companies are firing feminists after taking billions of dollars in losses. And some of these companies may collapse now because of the actions of modern women and Sims. Guys, a lot of these women are going to end up living in poverty. They're going to end up homeless. They're going to end up living in their cars. They're going to end up living in the streets because the average woman was not designed to live without a man. The average woman was not designed to live without a husband. And the state is broke. The government has $35 trillion in debt, and it cannot pay its debt. It cannot pay its debt load. So, of course, you think it's going to find money for Social Security? The boomers who are leaving the world in pieces and tatters, half of them have no savings at all for retirement. They're the fastest growing group of homeless people in the United States, and they think that their kids are going to come and bail them out. Thankfully, many of their kids could not bail them out if they wanted to bail them out because they stole their futures, so now their kids have nothing. Literally nothing. And from the boomers that do have some savings, only 30% of them have $100,000 or less. It's crazy. All right? The remaining 20% have barely anything at all. We're talking about maybe a couple $1,000, like, $5,000, $10,000. Many of them not even that. That's their retirement savings. Only 30% have $100,000 or less. The boomers that have like $1 million, those people are like in the 1% right now. Are like the top 5%. It's ridiculous. And that's like the top 1%. Okay, they're like in the top 1%, and then like $500,000 and stuff like that. That's like 5%. The vast majority, they don't have shit, and most of their money is tied up in the stock markets. Okay, 80% of the stock market is held by the boomers. I bet many of you didn't know these things. 80%. Okay, because a lot of their retirement investments are in the stock market. So as they begin retiring and hell on earth comes and they need money, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to start selling up. They're going to start cashing out as quickly as they possibly can. It's going to be a raid on the markets. And it's not like, oh, you can just freeze the accounts, freeze the markets. No, they're going to keep on pulling out money as quickly as they can. And I've already warned a lot of you, like when it comes to the 401ks, I made a poll. And many of you guys said in the poll that when shit hits the fan, because the 401k funds, that's basically all the money that the United States actually has. Like, for example, if we look it up, like how much money is in let's look it up, the 401k 401k fund. So when we delve into it, there's actually $7.8 trillion in 401k. So America Americans had $7.8 trillion invested in 401ks and 14.3 trillion invested in IRAs in the first quarter of 2024, according to the Investment Company Institute. So that's between 401ks and IRAs, guys. So in terms of investment accounts, that's where most of the money that the US actually has right now is. That's about $21 trillion. You think that the United States, that has $35 trillion in debt, is going to let that money go? You think the US is gonna let people claim all of that money? That's all of the money that the US has. The US has no real tangible money right now. Guys, they cannot pay their debts right now. They cannot pay their debts. So there's only one thing that they can really do, and that's to dip into 401k plans. Now, keep in mind that some of that money, again, is stored in the stock market. But they're coming for those 401k plans. When shit hits the fan and people want to take money out of their 401ks, they're gonna be met with a message. A lot of you guys said funds are not accessible, inaccessible, currently unavailable. That's what they're going to be met with. Most people said that in my poll. All right, they're going to take that 401k from you. $21 trillion in 401 are in between 401k plans and IRAs. And the US is $35 trillion in debt, and it cannot afford to pay the interest on its debt right now. That's the reason why it's running up inflation. Because by running up inflation, the value of the debt decreases, and the idea is that people will start making more money, so that will offset the cost of everything as well. Companies have to pay people more because cost of living has increased, and then the value of debt will decrease rapidly, so they can thereby pay their debt. But the thing is that's something that is supposed to happen over the course of decades. That's not something that's supposed to happen over the course of just a few years. Food now costs 4 to 5 times what it did in 2019, guys. That should illustrate to you just how bad things are right now, just how expensive things are right now. And inflation continues to rise rapidly. It was great. It was going up at above 3% every month. Now it's going up at like 2.9%. And the media is celebrating and saying, okay, finally things are cooling off. Inflation is improving. When they say inflation is going down, they don't mean that prices are going down. They just mean that the cost of everything is going up just slightly less. That's the reason why you go to McDonald's and at the beginning of the year, a Big Mac costs, let's say, $8, but every single month it just seems to be going up in price. Yeah, because inflation is continuing to rise rapidly. The feds are going to cut interest rates. Guess what? That's not going to do shit. It's absolutely not going to do shit. We are between a rock and a hard place right now, and they're not going to be able to buy their way out of this shit. It's essentially hell on earth, and they created this mess for themselves. They created this. The boomers are very, very much responsible for this shit. But like I said, many of them are ending up homeless. Many of them are ending up destitute. Many of them are ending up in poverty. They brought this shit onto themselves. And of course, modern women, like I said, guys, I made a video years ago, and then I remade the video again, some time ago. She will never love you. All right? The woman that you are with, she will never love you. She can love things that you can do for her. She can love things about you, but she will never love you. The only things that women love, that a woman can ever love, that a woman can love indefinitely, all right, are children and pets, and sometimes not even those, because there are so many children that did not even get the love of their mothers. Because women in Western society, for them, it's all about me, 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 me. And don't think when you go overseas and you meet a Filipina or a woman in one of these countries and they're like, oh, the woman the Filipina is so wonderful and all this other shit. Bro, they're still women. They all want the same thing. That's the reason why a lot of you guys end up getting fucked, because you go over there, you get yourself a Filipina, and everything was going good for like 5 or 10 years, and then suddenly she just blindsided you. And you're like, one day she changed and she ran off with your money. She divorced you and ran off with your money and all kinds of shit. It's like, bro, You were not paying any attention, okay? A woman plans her divorce before she plans her wedding. She knows what she's going to get out of that shit, okay? She never wanted to stay with you. A lot of women, when they break up, this is how I shouldn't even say a lot of women in general. When a woman breaks up in a relationship, when she breaks up with a guy, that usually happens long before she physically breaks up with him, and she's still just chilling in the relationship and trying to use the relationship for the benefits that she can get out of it. But psychologically, she's already broken up from that man. Psychologically, she's not even there anymore. And a lot of guys will say, that doesn't make any sense. You know, we were being physically intimate and we're going out on dates and we're having fun together. So you're talking a load of shit, Angry. No, bro. I'm telling you the truth. The way women work psychologically is that they will break up with you psychologically and go through all of that shit long before they physically break up with you. And as men, we're not even aware of this. This is why I say that female psychology is strange. Women work very differently than we are told. And of course, women don't want you to know how they think and how they operate. They want you to be ignorant. They want you to basically be easily manipulated and controlled by them. I'm telling you guys, and Sims have their own agenda. That's why they want to keep you, you know, going out. They want to keep you engaged with things like adult content and sacrificing yourself for society and women. Sacrifice. All they talk about is sacrifice, because guys, it's demonic. It's the Jezebel spirit. Who would want you to sacrifice yourself? Satan. These are demonic individuals. They have no God inside of them, guys. Do you agree that a lot of these people are going to end up homeless in the coming years and destitute? Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA. Men walking away. And cheers.